Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome aboard to our brand new podcast called Taking Off with Mike and Jen.
In this podcast, we will be diving in and unpacking all the baggage, anything from communication to finances, family dynamics, expectations, and what it looks like to fight or flight.
We have 32 years of marriage and a lot of Christian counseling under our belts, so no matter where you find yourself, whether that's being single, dating, engaged, or married, this podcast is just for you.
Are you ready to take your relationships to new heights?
If so, sit back, relax. We have been cleared for takeoff.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome to Flight 9. We're glad you're back with us. And before we start officially Flight 9, we're going to recap just a teeny bit on Flight 8. We talked a little bit about relationships, of course, mentoring, and that's kind of what we wanted to touch on, is we wanted to empower those of you who feel like you want to work with couples or individuals, but you don't feel like you're qualified or that you have it all figured out or you haven't been married long enough or dating long enough. And
lies.
we just wanted
Those
to
are
say,
lies.
we just wanted to say that is not true. If you've been married 1 year, you have more experience than someone who's newly married. So, because you've walked through it. So, just don't let that be a deterrent to, reaching out to somebody that might need some help or mentoring. Just none of us feels like we know really what we're doing or talking about or feels capable, but you just do it and it works out. So, that's all I wanted to say about that. Ending Flight 8 and now Flight 9. So we're going to do a little bit different this time. We're going to answer some questions that we've actually gotten from some of you listeners. So thank you for that. And it seems like a big question is social media and gaming. And a couple of the questions we received, one of them in particular, or a couple, was a listener's boyfriend, some was a husband, are liking other girls' posts. And so we're going to just start with that one and dive into what our opinion is on that. So you can start us off.
You tell me about your social media habits.
All right.
Because I don't want to tell on you.
All right, good. No tattletaling. All right, so these are my habits. I am on Instagram. My Instagram is linked, I guess, to my Facebook. I'm not on Facebook that much because I don't know how it works, and I did a really big mess up one time on Facebook. I got in a little fight with somebody, and they weren't even fighting with me. They were fighting with somebody else, but I thought they were saying mean things about me, and I had to defend myself. Anyway, it's not good for me. So Instagram is much easier. I look at pictures. I basically check it right before I go to bed. It's just nice to see what everyone's done during the day. And that's about it. I'm not on it throughout the day unless I know people are traveling or doing something and I want to see what they're doing throughout the day. But in general, I'm on it just at night, checking it out. I don't spend more than, I would say 15, 30 minutes on it. And then I go down the rabbit hole when they send me the animal videos. That's a problem. But other than that, I'm not on it that much.
Right.
That's my habit.
You want to know about mine?
Always.
Okay. So I'm not really on social media at all. The times I get on social media is when somebody sends me an Instagram, whatever they're called, reels, posts. Instagram thingies. I don't know. And same with Twitter. Now, I will say this. I was on Instagram. I was on Twitter. And I decided to stay away from those places. And I'll tell you why later as we get into some of these questions. Because it started to affect me. And we've already talked about boundaries in our past flights. And so I've set up boundaries, and I'll expand on that in a few minutes or so. But let's dig into question number one.
Oh,
all
okay.
Right? As far as the, thoughts.
Okay,
of the significant other. So the first one was thoughts of the significant other following a ton of people of the opposite sex.
And hearting their things.
Right. So there's obviously a couple aspects to it. as you already have listened to our flights and you know what and how people can, I guess, interpret what the other person is thinking or feeling. And so if Jennifer was to come to my social media, if I had it and saw that I was just following women, not even hearting, it would go somewhere in her heart, right? It would touch her somewhere in her heart. And that all that stuff that we've talked about in our previous flights about feeling abandoned or I'm not being chosen or I'm not being picked. Why are you following these girls? And then I raise it to a whole nother level. You're hearting them now? How is that different than a like? How's a heart different than a like? What's the interpretation there? So you can imagine every one of you out there has a different feeling on what that feels. And it goes right back to our baggage and you know, what we think our spouse is thinking may not be true, but what we're feeling and where it's going to. And of course, in regards to that, my recommendation is I wouldn't follow somebody from the opposite sex. Now, that might sound to you guys kind of crazy, but to me, I've been married to this lady 32 years. I know how she grew up. I know the abandonment that she felt. I know that that is her struggle. And I do not want to help her stay in that lane of struggle. Should I give in to following women so that my wife feels good and happy? Yeah, what do I need to follow women for? I don't have any. Now, am I following Grandma Pat and am I following Auntie so-and-so and things like that absolutely I know is not a threat to her or that she's even going to interpret as a threat? I'm putting her needs in front of mine. What's wrong with that, right? I mean, who doesn't want to have their needs put in front of somebody else? And I'm doing that. I'm gifting that to her, you could say. And so for me, for somebody to follow someone of the opposite sex, that's a boundary that I'm not willing to, go down myself. And so I think it's very, very reasonable that if she feels the way that she feels, that I'm just gonna lay maybe my desire to, follow somebody that I probably shouldn't be following anyway. I'm going to just put that aside because I'm putting my wife first. That's my take on it.
Right. I agree, and I think that's super sweet. You do that. Mine's a little bit different. So I do follow some guys on social media. Obviously, my brother, stepdad, things like that. People from church. I follow some staff members. But with that being said, friends, they aren't posting anything salacious or tempting. They're posting usually things about their family or their dogs or things about the church or things that are happening in the community. Posted or whatever. And so there's obviously exceptions to that rule of following the opposite gender, but as far as hearting things, these boyfriends and husbands that are hearting girls' accounts that are even friends of their wives or girlfriends, no. Number one, you shouldn't be following them. What's the point? I mean, why? I just want to know why. Number two, it's your wife / or girlfriend's friends. So what are you getting from that? Number three, it's just opening a little crack.
Yeah.
Like if you were to really be honest with yourself, really honest, where nobody can see the honesty, what little kind of thing is that giving you? Is it this much of a little bit of flirting? Without really flirting because you find the friend attractive? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the motives. So, you can't help but think that if you're following your girlfriend's friend or wife's friend and you're hearting her things, especially when there are things where she's, doing selfies in front of whatever and whatever. And she doesn't even have to be overly sexy in them. It's toying. It's just a little bit of toying. And I just don't know what the purpose is, honestly. Like if Michael were following if he were on social media and he were following any of my girlfriends, I think, especially the ones that I know that there could be a problem with, I'd be like, you don't really need to follow him. Then if I saw him hearting things, that'd be just the whole next level. I guarantee there'd be a little bit of a throwdown. And him trying to defend it would be pointless because there's no reason he should be hearting girlfriends of mine that are, posting things that they're posting, even though they're not posting super bad stuff all the time, unless it's their dogs or their families or whatever. It's just different.
Well, and here's another thing. Some of you could be saying, okay, I've listened to Jennifer's I've listened to the flights. I know that came up to an intersection at stoplight and said, what, are you going to marry her? And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? Obviously, the jealousy and the hurtness, and her dad left the family and abandonment and so forth. You may not be in that situation. I wasn't in that situation. If Jennifer if I was on, social media and she was following my guy friends and hearting the things that they were saying, it would affect me completely different than it affects her. However,
good point.
I don't think it's a great idea that she's hearting, thumbs up, so forth, so on. It's like, what kind of a little relationship? Because there is a communication that's going on there.
Yes.
It is a total communication that's going on there, that when my buddy sees that she hearted his picture, there's a communication. So the next time he sees her, he's like, oh, she just loves the last 12 pictures that I put on there. There's a little bit of whatever you want to call it there, whether it's flirting or communication or whatever it is, it's there. So it's just something that is, do you want to be safe or do you want to get close to the fire? What is your choice? And obviously what we're trying to do is help you stay away from the fire. You can't get burned if you don't get near the fire, right? And that's the bottom line as far as that question goes, right?
Yes. All right.
Thoughts
we
of your
beat that to a dead horse, didn't we? But that's
we
all
beat
right.
that to a dead horse.
Yes.
We beat that dead horse hard. Yes, we did. Yeah, I know.
We're so dumb. Okay, next.
She's not aware.
You want another question?
She's not aware.
Oh, my golly.
Jenniferisms, that's what we call them. One day we'll read them.
Okay, here's another one. How much time should you spend on social media? A day, a week? And what's a good time to get on social media?
Get on or off.
Correct.
Right. So you take the start off there.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't really know a time frame. I think that's subjective to every person. Everyone kind of has to feel their conviction on that, I guess is the word. All I know is social media, I feel like we're still navigating it a lot of the time. It can definitely bring out some big comparisons, jealousies, anxieties, the inferiority game, a lot of contentment issues. And let's be honest, most of us, I think, are voyeurs. We're like little flies on the wall that like to see what's happening in people's lives. That's why reality shows have taken off so much, and normal people are making kabillions by just having a camera follow them. So, there is a basis to that, but I think you just have to really self-check yourself. Like, is it taking away from other things that you could be doing either for yourself or for your boyfriend / girlfriend / husband, wife, or your kids? Your relationship, we're Christians. Is it taking away your relationship from the Lord? How much time are you spending on social media compared to how much time you're serving others, serving the community, reading your Bible, doing a Bible study? All those things. Like, are you gaming and doing social media more than you are maybe reading the Bible? Well, there's a problem with that, I think,
It just depends on where your priorities lie, right?
Yeah, I don't really have a per se time frame, because I just know myself. I have to stop myself when I'm on it, I mean, if I'm on it more than 30 minutes, like I said, I can go down those little rabbit holes. And I think that's why I do it at the end of the day, because I've gotten my day done. I've done my things. But, sometimes I get on it and I'm on it a little bit more than that 30 minutes, especially when he's on a flight and it's late at night. All of a sudden I look at the clock and I'm like, are you kidding me? It's 1:30 in the morning and I have to get up because the dogs are going to get me up. And then I pay for it. And that's just not healthy for me. So I know that,
My take is you have to prioritize your life. What is important to you? If you are the person that says, I want to get a workout in, I want to spend time in the Word, I want to read this book I've been trying to go through, I would like to spend time serving the community or spending time with grandma, grandpa, or whatever it is, and you find that social media is stopping you or interfering with those greater goals that you have, then you're probably choosing the wrong time to do social media, or you're just choosing social media over those things. And so you have to, put your priorities in line. And, like with me, one thing that I like to do is I will go on YouTube and watch some short videos on YouTube. But when do I do that? I do it when I'm exercising. So if I'm on the treadmill or the bike or whatever, I'm combining that time. It makes my workout go faster, and then I am entertained.
Double duty.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Well, that's just how I would do it. That would be the time that I would do that, if you call that social media. I guess you do.
Right. Yeah, like podcast things like this.
Podcasts when on a run or
cleaning.
Whatever. But
Right.
It's just, does it interfere? And is it interfering with your spouse or with your other, your person that you're with? Is it that you guys aren't communicating? You have all these things that you should be talking about. You're not communicating because you guys are on social media, your social media of choice. When you're in a crowd, when you're at dinner, are you on social media? Are you communicating with the person that you're with? Or are you both on your phones? And so that would be where I would start asking those internal questions. Is this adding to my life? Is this adding to the relationship? Or am I just focusing on something else, kind of just in my own little world?
Yeah, like that. Didn't I read something? I probably saw it on social media. I don't know. But a couple of weeks ago where, you could practice, go to dinner. They say when you go to dinner or you're eating with somebody and your phone is on the table next to you,
you're sending a message.
Even though it's upside down, you're still sending a message that if this thing goes off or makes any noise, I'm going to answer it. Or I'm at least going to look. And you're subliminally telling those people you're with, this is more valuable than the time that I have with you in our time together. And it's really true. I
understand. I've sat before thinking that if my phone is there, it almost has priority over the conversation if it rings, as opposed to it's on silent, it's put away. Then it's just one-on-one with whoever you happen to be with. So it does communicate something.
To the other people. It makes them
does.
feel like they're important as they are,
And again, these aren't, I don't want to talk about strong, strict rules and dumb things, but we're wanting to get the point across that there is a lot to social media and how it affects other people when you're around them.
And we love
it.
It's not like we don't love it. We love it. But like what he said, some solutions and things that you can apply. Talk with your person. And both of you decide what's a reasonable time to be on social media, and see. You might be surprised what one might say, oh, well, you're on it a lot more than I'd like or whatever. You just never know. And then alternatives. If you think, well, we have nothing to talk about or nothing to do if we're not on social media, because that's very self. You could mentor youth. You can do some kind of physical activities, go for a walk, do whatever.
Play pickleball.
Get in the Word, play pickleball, lead a study, serve people. There's so many things. It's like social media is great and we do love it. We enjoy it. But we have our boundaries with it, as with everything in life, because it can also be like a tool of the enemy, whispering to distract you from the Lord and things of the kingdom. And when people are posting and here's a big one too. This is what happens I would think, because I'm married, relationship world, but it can happen with people single too, is, a lot of married people like to put during Valentine's, during their anniversaries, during birthdays, or randomly post, oh, my husband, my wife is the greatest person. They gave me this, this, and this. They're the most thoughtful this, and the blah, blah, that. And all that's great. And some of these people I know, and they are great, wonderful men and women, and spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends. But when you're constantly putting that kind of stuff out there, you have to be thinking, why are you doing that? Are you doing that because you just want the world to know that your person is fantastic? Is it because you get a little puff, a little, high because people are saying, oh, your guy's so great, your husband's wow. Because at the same time, you have to think of how that's affecting other people that may not have it so great. And then they sit there and compare. And then the next thing you know it, they're saying to their husband that night, blah, gave blah this, and they did this for their anniversary. How come we never do that? And so, like I said, I don't want to nitpick it, and I don't want to say not to do that, but just be more mindful, I guess, of things that you do post, because that comparison game is not good. It's not
If
good.
everybody out there right now sat and thought about their social media accounts and thought, okay, have I had any disagreements with my spouse? Have I had any disagreements with my boyfriend, my fiance, girlfriend, etc.? Have I had any? Why did I have those? What was going on? I think you can answer those questions and start figuring out real quickly that social media can be a problem. You have to communicate with your spouse or whoever it is. This is how I feel when you heart this, this, and this. This is how I feel when this happens. When you're on the phone and we're at dinner and you're looking at social media, this is what's going through my mind. How do you feel? You have to open this dialogue and have this conversation to how is it affecting your relationships? How is it affecting your ability to communicate with somebody, to look them in the face and communicate? Can you sit down for half an hour and communicate with whoever you're communicating with? Or have you isolated yourself so much through your social media that now you don't have the ability to do that? So every single one of you can just sit back for a second and just say, what do we do at dinner? What do we do at night? Do I wake up tired? I was up at 2 o'clock last night. I had to get up at 7. Now I'm tired for the day. Those are just reflective questions. And every single one of you out there can ask those questions and then start essentially, just dissecting what is going on with this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people I know who have said, oh my gosh, we went on vacation. We had no phone service. We had the best time. What is that saying right there? Mm-hmm. What is that saying? And they're
tapping back into that.
They're tapping back into the magical thing that you have called just communication between people. And they had no ability to get social media, and this is what their experience was, and it was a great one. Then they get back home, and they're back at it. You just are creating your own problems, and you just have to recognize that, okay, we had a fight today. Why? Or this didn't go well. Why? Or I'm tired. Why? Why? Ask the questions. Go there.
It's going to be different for everybody.
It is going to be absolutely different for everybody. Yeah. And what might be okay for me may not be good for her, and vice versa. You just have to look at that and communicate that with each other to see, where do we go here?
Yeah.
Maybe you can even try things. You can try, let's just do an hour a day.
Yeah.
Start there. Or how about I don't follow half the people I'm following, and start there and see what kind of changes happen in your life by making these adjustments.
Yeah. Okay, another question.
That one right there.
Oh, okay. Here's a question. What do you think of couples that have joint accounts?
Well, I would say number one, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that, and I don't really know how joint accounts would work.
I don't either.
But joint accounts to me
Maybe
would
we're
be
not the best ones to answer this one.
Would basically, I'm thinking is
like you and I are both on my Instagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, there's going to be
Jennifer and Michael's
a
Instagram.
20 billion things I don't even want to see.
Right.
And then it's going to be vice versa. Why does Jennifer want to look at airplanes and cars and, guns and all the other things I'm interested in? So I don't really know how that's going to work. However, there's going to be that aspect. I think what maybe the question really is she has access to the things I have access to and vice versa. So she sees who I'm following. I see who she's following. And so there's that openness to it. It's not a hidden private account.
Right.
Again.
Joint accounts, I don't think we've ever had one. We've had some joint other things where things pop up and I'm like, why am I getting all this airplane, car, gun stuff? Just like he said. But yeah, I think just exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I think
so. I don't know.
As long as you have access, because another question that came in that kind of follows on the heels of that is, should your significant other have access to your social media account and password? I mean, look, if you have nothing to hide, Michael can have every password, every account, everything I have. Why would I care? Why would I care?
I mean, you're just...
If I have something that I don't want him to see, there's a bigger problem.
For sure.
So for him to have the access to that, 100%. So whoever's listening and you think there's a problem with that, you better self-check yourself because there is no reason why you need to be hiding anything from your person.
No.
I mean, nothing. Zero.
You're
zero,
asking
zero.
for problems. Absolutely.
And too, you got to be careful on social media. Oh, there's another hole that we can go down, but we won't. Like I've gotten hacked before where I've had like porn stuff pop up on my feed where I'm like just scrolling and there's friends, there's church, and then whoop, porn. So, you got to be careful with stuff like that. And that's probably why Michael's not on it too, because
I was going to get into that.
Men are visual, girls, men are visual. All right, let's see. Okay, here's kind of, I guess, our last question. How do we feel about following exes or ex-family members on social media? Should you follow or unfollow them? So I'm assuming that this person that wrote in, they're talking about ex-boyfriends or maybe ex-fiance or maybe ex-husbands or wives, right? That's a tricky one because I think it depends on the ex and how it ended and the whole situation.
Well, it also
in general, I say no.
Depends on the relationship and what's
100%.
going on.
Yep.
I mean, if I was super great friends with an ex's mom and dad, and then I broke up with this girl, and I wanted to follow the dad or the mom, I would think that there was nothing wrong with that. But then what's the context of, am I hearting? Am I commenting? Am I having this relationship? What's my relationship like with my new girlfriend's parents? Do I hate them and I like the old girlfriend's parents? And then is the new girlfriend jealous that I'm following the old girlfriend's parents because you don't even like my parents? So there's this big dynamic of what is going on. And again, it all falls back to, who am I putting first? Am I putting my new girlfriend first, or am I putting my old girlfriend's parents first? And so I may have to just cut those ties if it's an issue, or maybe I can explain and try to, instead of just, don't go crazy over that. What's the big deal? That's just adding gas to the fire, is trying to explain, this is why I want to follow her dad, because we have these likes, we have this. If she's okay, I understand that. Okay, that makes sense. Or she may just be like, you shouldn't be following your ex-girlfriend's parents. I'm going to put her first.
Well, and here's the bottom line, truly. Let's say that we'll use your scenario. Like, if you're following the ex's dad, right? And there's the breakup. Do you think the dad's really going to care if you unfollow him?
No.
No. Heck no. He's not going to give a crap. So, like Michael said, whatever your new person is in your life, if it makes them uncomfortable, just don't do it. It's
Agreed.
just not that important, honestly. If you want to give the ex a call 6 months later, meaning the dad, hey, have you been? Bought any new, whatever's lately? Fine. But it's just not that big of a deal.
The bottom line is, and what we've been saying since the very beginning is, put your significant other first. Mm-hmm. If we are calling ourselves Christians and we're going to put our money where our mouth is, then we're going to try to follow what the Bible teaches, which is treat others the way you want to be treated. Put others in front of yourself. Everybody knows what it says. And if it feels like that's just not fair, she should understand, I just want to follow the guy, I'm still holding on to what my needs are.
Yep.
And if this is my spouse, this is my significant other, and I want to love her as Christ loves the church, then just we can work through that later. But for now, I'm putting that aside. This is the old, this is the new. This is the decision I've made. And it comes with sometimes baggage. But guess what? I love her through that baggage. That's what relationships are. I love 95% of them, and 5% I can't stand. But guess what? I've chosen this, and I'm going to work with that 5% or 50% or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
That's the loving way to do it.
I think we talked about this. If you think there's more to expand on, we can continue. But the last question was just comparing your relationship to other relationships, friends, things like that. Did we touch on that enough, you think?
I mean, the whole, to give a visual picture is I'm following social media, let's say, of whoever, and they post a lot, and they post their new car, and they post their new house, and they post their vacations, and they post this, that, and the other. And all that is going to do potentially is, man, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And you see this thing over and over and over again. And it's just like this marketing thing. It's like open up a magazine and seeing, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. And what does it do? It makes you discontentment, right? It brings that discontentment. So if you don't have that problem and you're happy for those people, great. But if you find yourself feeling discontent, I want that, I want that, I want that, then obviously you need to work on some things within yourself, but that's a boundary that you should probably put on yourself so that this is not just a constant reminder of what you don't have as opposed to what you do have, right? Yeah. You don't know anything about those people, why they have that, and it quite frankly doesn't matter. They could be in big time debt. Somebody in their family could have won the lottery. It doesn't matter. The point is you have what you have, they have what they have. Yeah. If it forces you to say, why is that? Why? Maybe I need to go get educated and I can get a better job. Maybe I need to work harder. Maybe I need to put my social media down and my gaming down and go work harder, and I can, whatever it might be, those are the questions that you're going to ask yourself. Or how about this? I'm content with what I have for now, and that's that. But if social media causes that to happen...
Yeah, you can unfollow people without them knowing that they're unfollowed. Somebody taught me that.
I don't know anything about that one.
I kind of forgot how to do it, and I know all you young people out there know how to do it. But so you can do that, and I've had to do that. I'll be honest, I've had to do that with some people. They don't know I've unfollowed them, but I have as a health thing for myself. And then when I feel like I can do this, I'll tap back in or just check in. And honestly, it's been a little bit fun because then when I run into some of those people, I can actually be like, what's going on in your life? What's new? You have something to converse about, and that's super fun. Believe it or not, it is. It's super fun. So those were some of our questions about social media.
Yeah, and I want to.
We had some gaming ones too. And can I tell just the one?
Yeah.
So we're not going to expand on this much because I feel like we've definitely hit a lot of things and gave our opinion, whether you like them or not. That's what they are. You have these couples, and one likes to be on TikTok for a few hours. The guy likes to game for a few hours. To us, we'll be honest, that sounds crazy. 3 hours of your day, almost every day, gaming and or social media is so much. And we get this is kind of the era now that we're in, but to us, that's just not really healthy, especially in a relationship. There's 3 hours of time that you could be just spending with each other, really learning some things and doing some things together. So just kind of keep that in your minds, that was something that has happened in some people that we know. And, it's not always the healthiest thing. It just isn't.
I think you have to look at context, 100% context. If I was going to take a couple that are freshly married and they love gaming together and they have no kids, and they're an 8 to 5 person and they come home, they don't like exercising, they don't like cooking, they like hanging out and gaming together.
Yeah, great
Then
point.
by all means,
Yes.
do that. What's that context?
Right.
But if the context is they don't have a great relationship, that need to be asked. And believe me, if you're fighting in your relationship, start looking at what your life looks like and then figuring out where are the issues here. Could it be social media? Maybe it isn't. Could it be gaming? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's some baggage from my past and why we're fighting. There's just, you have to start communicating, and that's why we're so big on like Christian counseling is they will ask those good questions. They will mentor you through, okay, tell me about this. Tell me about this. Does this affect you here? Do you like it when he does this? Do you like it when she does this? This bothers me here. This reminds me of when I was little. I mean, the questions go on and on and on, and you start figuring this out instead of hiding in your world of social media or gaming. If your relationship's fantastic and there's never any problems and everybody's content, which is probably not the case, then everything's fine. But if not, and it might be good today and it won't be a year from now or 3 years from now, because you do have a kid or you have a different job or you're living somewhere else or something has happened with your decisions on social media that now it is affecting what your relationship is like. So there's just a very difficult, context-driven, media that you're in. And so you just have to look at the whole situation.
Different for everybody, yeah. So this was flight 9.
But let me finish up, because I promised him I would talk about why I'm not on social media, and I didn't yet. So the reason I'm not on social media, right? So I would say the social media that I was on was Instagram and maybe Twitter.
Oh, you were on Twitter.
And so what would happen with Twitter would be not only would there be things that would come along in the sexual tone, but there'd be conversations, things that I either disagreed with or agreed with. And as you read that over and over again, whether it's things you disagree with, your tendency is you're going to want to get on Twitter and you're going to want to answer that. And it's just like playing tennis back and forth. Negative, negative, negative. Or you get into the camp where everybody agrees with you, and then it's just a slam fest of, yeah, can you believe this? Can you believe that? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's just a negative the whole time.
He would get riled up.
It just gets me riled up.
So mad.
And then before you know it, you're on there for 2 hours, and then you're just thinking society's a bunch of idiots, and they're thinking the same thing about you.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, it just pulls me into this toilet of spinning and spinning and spinning. And as far as Instagram goes, I know where my boundaries need to be, my sexual boundaries need to be. And those boundaries are very strict, because I know that, the way I grew up, the things I saw porn for the first time when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. We're very visual as men. It sucks us in. We like that visual picture. And what does Instagram do? It can go anywhere from full on whatever to just girls exercising. It doesn't matter in my mind. It will take me down that stupid road. And I don't want to go down that road. So I am going to set my boundaries up, because there's enough media out there. If I'm driving down the road, turn on the television, there's a commercial, bam, there's a picture, there's a, the way that naked women is like a tattoo on your brain. You don't forget that stuff, or at least I wouldn't forget that stuff. Yeah. And so for social media, for me, I'm just going to set my boundaries up. I don't want to crack the door open, because if the door isn't cracked, there's no way to get the door open. I'm going to shut the door. I'm going to lock the door. And I'm strict on that because I'm 54 years old, and I've already tried to crack the door and say, I'm going to limit this, or I'm going to just follow this. Stuff gets in, pictures get in. I don't know what the algorithms are, but the bottom line is I'm going to get enough of negative things in my life that I have zero control in, unless I just keep my eyes closed and put, earplugs in my ears. And that's why I'm not going to do it, because I'm really trying to walk the walk. And that's what helps me. I could be strict compared to others, but that's what helps me. And so I'm gonna take the conservative side, because I know my boundaries.
And some of you out there are going, man, they're so strict, they're so boring.
At 54, you might be too.
We're FUN. And he has tons of fun things that he watches and listens to. And I love the respect that he wants to give to himself and for our marriage and our family. I think that's really admirable. So,
when you fall and you trip and you skin your knees so many times, you find they're like, I'm just not going to fall anymore. And how do I not fall? Well, I guess I'm not going to run. So that's just the boundary that I have to put up. And it is what it is. So I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my wife. And yeah, exactly.
So that was flight 9. Maybe a little heavy, maybe not as fun as our other flights, but...
Wait till you hear 10.
But we did want to address these questions that come in, because when people send in questions, we want you to know that we do see them, and then we, go over them and be like, oh, let's do it on this flight. So, that's what this...
Keep the questions coming if you want us to expand on this.
He's really excited about Flight 10, so we do hope you come back for Flight 10.
No, for sure. But if you want these questions to be expanded, or do you have more questions, please send them in. There's a lot to be said about this. There's so many different situations that you find yourself in, depending on where you are in your relationship, that, these are big. And this is in our life, this is, the last quarter of our lives. This just came in 10 years ago. For you guys, this is from childhood. Or just the beginning of childhood. And so you've gotten into it much earlier, and it's become a staple and just a standard thing. And for us, it isn't that way. So we might be a little old school, but we have some wisdom, because we've been there and we've done that. And you will be exactly the same way. If right now you're 26 years old and you're talking to a 16-year-old, you've got 10 years of wisdom on that, and believe me, they're going to learn a lot from you, 100%.
Yeah.
And so just keep that in mind when you hear us give our opinions about this stuff, because definitely you'll see that we've been down that road before.
We're just trying to help.
We're just trying to help, absolutely. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Please tune into 10. 10's going to be fun. We're going to talk about and give you a little storytelling time, I should say. It's going to be storytelling time on some crazy things that happened in our life, specifically in about the first 5 to 10 years of our marriage. And it's just getting to know us, who we are, and how crazy things can be.
Did he just point?
No, I didn't. So have a great week. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
See you later.